and then Drag Race like changed drag, like made it mainstream, or am I just being dramatic and overstating RuPaul's effect?
No, oh my God. I I recently told this story. I can't remember I told the story, but I was living in the East Village on Avenue C when Supermodel came out, and it was still super sketchy. And I didn't
Yes.
have money. I couldn't get a car. I had like couldn't get a taxi. No taxi was coming down Avenue C. So I had to walk in drag to the pyramid and be like, okay, please let me make it today. And then Supermodel came out, and all of a sudden, walking down the street, and the people that were like kind of taunting me before were now yelling, "You better work." So I was like, "Oh, I think RuPaul just saved my life." So I don't think I would. I don't think you're overstating the impact that RuPaul has had on drag.
I don't think so either. Just curious as to your opinion. How would you say, because you are in LA now, you grew up in New York?
And sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not kissing her ass. I haven't even seen her in 20 years. And so I have nothing to gain by saying that, but I certainly appreciate the doors that she has opened.
You're not just saying that, so maybe you can get on Drag Race.
No.
How would you say drag is different between New York and LA? I mean, I live in both, and there's definitely a culture these days of drag in both cities.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's such a huge difference anymore. I mean, at one time I felt that LA was super glam drag, especially like in West Hollywood, and New York was more uh you could have different looks and it wasn't just glam. You certainly had glam, but you had like, the glitter queens and you had the queens with beards. I mean, that's been going on forever in New York and Brooklyn. So, but now I think it's a little bit more kind of even in terms of the looks. I mean, you can go downtown LA and have queens that have beards and are, doing spooky makeup, Dracula, whatever. And you have that in New York too.
That makes sense. What about, I mean, before we got on, I said I was in the Hamptons for the summer, where I always am, but I am the rare exception. All of my friends do summer in the Pines. That is a huge part of your anthology, your history. Like, what does it mean when you perform in Fire Island? How is that different than
Well,
other places?
total Cherry Grove queen. Like I did the Pines a couple of times, but I didn't really hang out there. I loved Cherry Grove just because I really like the mix of like lesbians and gay men and the cool straight people or whatever. I love that mix. And I felt that certainly back when I was going to Fire Island every week, that Cherry Grove was much more, there was much more opportunity to work and drag in Cherry Grove than the Pines. So Ice Palace was like my place and did so much there with Portia and Shaquita and the girls. And I mean, really, really good memories. Like we had some good times out there.
And everyone's in a good mood.
Oh, honey, we did this thing called Drunken Crow. We would get a little lit and then we'd all be in drag doing different yoga poses out on the deck. It was just ridiculous.
That's funny, though. Where do you think, drag is in the mainstream media today? Like Drag Race has won Emmys, we have like Peppermint was on the Traitors last season. Bob the Drag Queen is going to be on this season. Like, have we come really far? Are we where we need to be? I'm just curious what your opinion is.
Yeah, I mean, people ask me like, "Oh, do you feel that it's been homogenized and kind of watered down?" And I don't. I mean, I feel like I haven't changed the content of what I do in 34 years, and I wouldn't. And what I appreciate about Out TV is that they have never said no to me. So I'm like, can I do that show a dildo? They're like, okay. So I wouldn't be able to do most of what I do on this show on Netflix or something else. And so I really appreciate that about Out TV. We have to submit the scripts to go through the lawyers and all of this before we even start filming. Every single thing has to be approved 3 times, and they have never said no.
Wow, that's almost unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel that it's exactly the show that I want it to be.
It has, yes. I mean, I could see it's not edited. There's some risque moments that may not be on other networks, such as the Peacock, where the Traitors is filming these days and
For
airing.
sure. For sure.
Do you, I mean, I mentioned Bob, like, I mean, Bob, you talk about like mainstream, there you go. Like Bob, like with Madonna and the whole celebration tour, like that's about as great. I mean, I'm biased because I think the sun, rises, revolves, and sets by Madonna and Cher. But that's like a great gig. And I mean, like, go Madonna. And what she did with all the queens, at each stop. If like Kelly, it wasn't New York and there was no Kelly Ripa, she really took the local queens in each place and brought them up on stage.
Yeah. And, Madonna has always been such a huge drag fan. I mean, I think she was a producer of Lip Synca stuff in the early 90s. And I've met her several times in drag, and she was amazing. And at one point, Joey Arias and I were doing something on the red carpet for one of her movie premieres, and she literally broke away from the mainstream press, came over and grabbed us, and she was like, "You should be on this side of that rope." And I'm like, "I know." So and then the MTV Awards where I got to be the Like a Virgin Madonna. So she's always been a real big drag fan.
She has. And I feel like, I don't know if you saw the celebration tour. If not, I won't hold it against you. But
I oh, I
we can
wouldn't go.
still be friends.
I wouldn't go. Look, Madonna is. I agree. Madonna is my Gaga. I mean, like Madonna is my number one, and always will be. But I'm not going anywhere with that many people. Period. Unless she said, "Here, I've got you front row seats." You know what I mean? Otherwise, there's no way. I wouldn't go to that concert.
That's my rare exception. If Cher
I
wants to
did.
go on a world tour, let's go.
I did see Madonna's Drowned World tour, so I did see that big one, and I would see something in Vegas. Like I would love to go to Vegas to see Lady Gaga's show there, because that's would be a bit more about the most people I could handle.
There was a lot of people, so I get it. But no, to your point, she is, and I feel like that, and now after that, she's going not really back to her roots, but she is spending a lot of time like with local Brooklyn, like her and Bob were just at, I forgot, like that, whatever that festival was in Brooklyn. And I'm like, yeah, Madonna loves New York. She loves drag. She loves that community. She really, truly loves it all. But that's also great to hear your stories where you've run into her at places where you wouldn't necessarily think she would be nice to a bunch of queens, no matter how famous or not famous. You just wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, no, I'm like I said, I met her a couple times, like 3 times, and she was nothing